What's up, YouTube? Somebody asked me about showing how to use an acetylene torch. Every torch, every tip, every manufacturer of an acetylene torch, they all have different cutting properties, different ways of using it. So we use acetylene and oxygen. You don't have to open these all the way up. I'm not going to go through regulator settings. And this is a Harbor Freight torch. It's not the greatest, but it does very well. I have a few different variations in torches, and this would be my least favorite, but it works. You want to make sure it has flash black flame arresters on it, here and here. So this has gas, oxygen, more oxygen, and then you can control your oxygen. So I like to turn on the gas first, just a teeny tiny bit. Now, if you want to heat something up, my mistake. If you just want to heat something up, this is a very hot flame. The blue part is the hottest. So if you just want to heat something up, I don't really want to get this far into it. So you want to heat something up. You don't want to be right on top of the work. You want to kind of test what you're heating up for what you're trying to cut. So if this is the work, all right, start further away. Depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to heat it up to reshape it or ding it, then you want to bring your torch closer and closer and closer. And then I'll do another video on how to cut it. And then if you want a hotter flame, you can listen to it. Ready? And you can adjust your flame. See that? That's not a real hot flame. That's a hot flame. And then the oxygen. All right, so once your material is hot, you're going to start blowing the material away. But every torch is different, and you want to actually just experiment with it, and then just blow the tip out for any carbon that's left over from the fuel. A lot of people are afraid to use a torch. This is more of a heating tip, but you could use this with some experience, for sweat and copper, or brass, or something that you don't want to take a whole lot of heat. So we have other tips that I don't use. What else do I have here? Different style and different shape, finer. Most jewelers and plumbers use that kind of tip. I'll give you an example here. So that, you can listen to it. It's not hissing. You hear that that's hot. And I'll just bring you right here. So if I just wanted to heat this up, you want to experiment with what you're heating up and watch it change colors. And don't stay in one spot if you're just trying to heat something up. You want to work it back and forth. See that? If you stay in one spot, the temperature of the metal is going to change real fast. And if you want to cut something, we'll just use this old spot over here. And this is on a low flame setting. You can see how fast the metal is melting. And then hit it with a little oxygen. You don't want to come right at it and start hitting it unless you know what you're doing. So this, ready, watch. Bam. So every metal is going to heat up differently. Every torch is going to respond differently. And it's an experiment. And like I said, we're using acetylene and oxygen. This works good for us. It heats up fast. It gets real hot. These I like a tip that can throw a 6 or 8 or 10 inch flame sometimes when I'm working in odd areas. And then sometimes I like a real fine tip when I'm working on something and cutting it close. You definitely want to wear gloves and protective equipment. That's a burn from the other day. That's a burn from the other day. Where is it? There. Burn right through my skin. Burn right through my skin. I don't wear gloves. I don't usually wear eye protection either for torching things. If I was torching for hours and hours and hours, I might grab something just to shade, or grab the mask, welding mask. But this was Harbor Freight. It works well. Depends on what you're doing. If you're just a home hobbyist, I don't think you need anything crazy. You can get pony bottles of acetylene and oxygen, then regulators and torch line and torch. But if you're trying to, be in the business, then, I would get yourself some high quality torch. I've been using different torches over my career. and torches are expensive. And if I had to, let me see. So here's another one that I have. But you see the difference in the reach? It's not much. You'd be surprised. And sometimes I'll custom bend my ends here. I'll bend this so that I have a different angle. All right, so let me show you what I'm talking about. I plan on doing that with this one. I'll custom bend these tubes so that I have a 30-degree angle for certain areas that I'm working in. I know they sell a straight and they sell different angles, but if you have a torch that you're just beating up all the time and you're not out every day cutting with it, I like this to be on a little bit more of an angle. Same thing with my welder tip. I custom shape them so that we can weld over top and tight areas of a car. You know, so some of them are like this, some of them are like this, some of them are like this. You know, some are like this. I've custom bent them over my years of doing this into convenient positions for welding on a car and above your head. So this is a stock bend with the torch tip, right? You see that? Which makes it very difficult to get in tight areas sometimes. And then actually when this whip breaks, I take this one out, the tube inside, and I transfer it over to a new torch. That's what they call it. And if you look at this one, look at the bend in that one. So that was a little straighter from the manufacturer. I actually added probably another 15 or 20 degrees to it, and that's the one we use all the time. I had another torch, I don't know where it's at, that I beat it so bad that, where is it? I don't know if I threw it out or not. And I had this one probably forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. I may have just thrown it out finally. But if I'm on a job, I'm working and I don't have the right angle, I'll whack it against something to give me a little bit more angle to gain access to what I'm getting to. But that had 17 years worth of abuse and beating on it. And then I'll order different torches and take parts off of them just to play with them. Here's another one here. Here's another torch. So you see the reach on that one? So let's go here. And then that head's actually a little bit more in from me bending the tubes so that it rolls in a little bit. This actually was a good torch. I might just send this out and have it professionally rebuilt because it works so well. But I don't know what it would cost to do that. But this one worked way better than this one, believe it or not. No, I didn't use this one, sorry. This one I've never used. This one I used for 17 years almost. And then this one here I bought for parts, and then there was another one I just threw out because it was so crappy. Not to get into it, but you can see I've never used this torch. But I will, I eventually will. I assure you I will. When, I don't know. But that's the gist of it. This is nothing fancy, nothing expensive from Harbor Freight. It works. My old torch worked way better for some reason. I think that's a Harris torch here, and I don't even know what the name brand of this thing is. If you got any questions, hit me up.